Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really important topic, but one that's honestly pretty confusing. I'm talking about breast self-exams. The advice has been all over the place for years, right? So what's the real deal? What does a modern, effective approach to knowing your own body actually look like? Let's dive in and clear things up. Seriously, if you've ever felt like you're getting totally mixed signals about this, you are not alone. It feels like one day you hear you need to do this super formal check every single month, and the next day you hear, nope, don't do them at all. It's enough to make your head spin. So let's figure out what the actual up-to-date advice really is. Okay, so this might actually surprise you. The American Cancer Society, well, they don't recommend regular breast self-exams as part of a routine screening schedule anymore. And you might be thinking, wait, what? Why? It really comes down to the high risk of false alarms. A false positive, where you find something that turns out to be nothing, can cause a ton of unnecessary stress and lead to tests you don't need. On the flip side, a false negative could give you a false sense of security, maybe making you put off other important screenings. So if that old school high pressure exam is out, what's in? What are we supposed to do instead? Well, the whole goal has changed. It's shifted from this intense hunt for a problem to something much more positive and empowering. And that thing is self-awareness. Yep, the new gold standard is called breast self-awareness. This is the approach recommended by groups like the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. And the idea is really different. The goal isn't to be your own detective hunting for cancer. It's simpler. It's just about getting to know what's normal for you, becoming so familiar with your body's own unique landscape that if something changes, you're the very first person to notice. And this is such a huge mindset shift. Think about it. The old way often felt like this stressful monthly test that you could somehow fail. But this new approach, it's all about an empowering, low-pressure practice of just knowing you're normal. It's about familiarity, not diagnosis. And that simple change helps take a lot of the fear and anxiety out of the whole thing. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? Let's get practical. We're going to walk through a really simple 3-step guide to help you build this awareness. First things first, let's talk about where you're checking, because it's not just the breasts. You want to get familiar with the whole neighborhood, you know? That includes the underarm area and the wider chest region, all the way up to your collarbone and down to the top of your abdomen. It's a bigger area than most people think. All right, step 1 is all about just using your eyes. Stand in front of a mirror, arms down by your sides to start, and just look. Get a sense of the usual shape, size, and skin texture. Are you seeing any puckering or dimpling that's new? Take a look at your nipples and even the vein patterns. Then you're going to raise your arms up over your head and do that exact same visual check again. You'll be surprised how different things can look from that new angle. Step 2 is the physical check, and a lot of people find it easiest to do this in the shower when your skin is all wet and soapy. The key here is to use the pads of your 3 middle fingers, not your fingertips because they're too pointy. You want to cover that whole area we talked about. Some people like to use small circles, others prefer a lawnmower type, up and down pattern. The pattern doesn't matter as much as being thorough, and this is super important. Use different levels of pressure, light, medium, and then firm. That's how you'll feel the different layers of tissue. And for step 3, you're going to lie down. Don't skip this part. Lying down is a game changer because it helps the breast tissue spread out evenly, which can make it way easier to feel for any changes. So, pop a pillow under your right shoulder and put your right arm behind your head. Now, take your left hand and use those same finger pad motions and pressures, light, medium, firm, to check your entire right breast and underarm area. Again, be really thorough. Go from your collarbone all the way down. Then, gently check the nipple for any discharge. Once you've done that whole side, just switch the pillow over and do the exact same thing on the left. Okay, so you're doing this regularly, you're getting to know your normal, but what are you actually looking for? What kind of changes should make you go, that's new, I should probably get that checked out? So for the breast itself, you're on the lookout for a new lump, or even just an area that feels thicker than the rest. Pay attention to any weird changes in shape or size that you can't explain. Skin changes are a big one too, like any dimpling or puckering, also any unusual swelling or pain that just kind of hangs around. And don't forget to check the nipples specifically. Is one suddenly turning inward? Has the skin texture changed, maybe become scaly or ridged? And of course, any kind of discharge that isn't breast milk, whether it's clear, yellow, or even bloody, is definitely something you want to get checked out. And finally, let's circle back to the lymph nodes. When you're checking your underarm and up by your collarbone, you're feeling for any lumps or swelling there, too. Changes in these spots can be an early sign of something, so it's a really important part of being aware of the whole area. Now, this is maybe the most important point I'm going to make. If you do find something, a lump, a change, whatever, the very first thing to do is take a deep breath. Seriously, not all lumps mean cancer. In fact, most of them don't. They're often something totally benign. Remember, the goal of this whole thing isn't to diagnose yourself. It's just to notice a change so you can let your doctor know.
Okay, so that brings up a really practical question. When should you do this? Does it matter? Well, yeah, timing can actually make a big difference in what you feel, so being consistent is super important.
The guidance is pretty simple. Just aim for once a month. Now, if you still get your period, the best time to do it is a few days after your period ends. That's because your breasts are usually least likely to be swollen or sore then. And if you're post-menopause, just pick a date that's easy to remember, like the first of the month, and stick with it.
All right, let's wrap this up with the single most important takeaway from everything we've talked about.
Please remember this. Breast self-awareness is a powerful tool. It's for getting to know your body. It is absolutely not a substitute for a real medical diagnosis. This practice is meant to work with professional medical care, not replace it. So keep up with your regular screenings and mammograms. Just think of this as one more really important piece of your overall health toolkit. So, I want to leave you with this to think about. After going through all this, what's one thing you've learned today that makes you feel more empowered to know your body just a little bit better? Thanks so much for tuning in.